Gary Payton and the Seattle Supersonics.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf.
John and Sue.
What's up, Averill?
This is Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is NorbCam coming at you on a victorious Tuesday following that epic game on Monday Night Football. The Seahawks taking down the Minnesota Vikings in unnecessarily dramatic fashion, if I must say, but a win is a win, and I just want to get into it and talk about this game with a couple of my good friends here who I've collaborated with to talk a little bit about what went down last night and what this means moving forward. So without further ado, I want to bring on my fellow compadres here to talk about this game. What's up? We've got Noah and Calvin, my resident football experts. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Y'all feeling good, feeling blessed. Another beautiful day. Thanks for having us, North.
All right, and I see this time, Calvin, I always love the fact that I never know what to expect, where you're going to be at from one shoot to another. And this time, I see you in your ride, so I don't have to worry about any smoke detectors going off, which is great. So, we're all good in that department.
Right.
Cool parking lot right now.
This last time it was a librarian. This time it's a cop on the window, dude.
But he's minding his own business. As long as you're not parked in a handicap space or anything like that, you should be good. But
Right.
before we get into the football stuff, I gotta say real quick that I heard from a little birdie told me, Calvin, that you are just celebrated your 21st birthday. So congratulations, happy birthday, brother.
Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you, guys. Thank you. That really means a lot. I thank you.
Happy birthday, my boy.
Appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So let me just quickly get, so we know it was a 37-30 win, a weird game where it started out kind of the usual fashion where we have to come from behind and then we get this surge, get way ahead. I'm thinking, 3 scores, we're going to dominate and just coast out. And then all of a sudden they're back, giving this game back to them. But in the end, we closed it out and finished with a sigh of relief and going, okay, 10-2. We got the division, goal accomplished. But let me get your guys' take. Noah, let's start with you. Just talk a little bit about what your overall impressions were of the game last night.
You guys know I'm a press conference guy. I listened to what Pete Carroll had to say about it, and one thing that he said was very specific. He took us back to the 2013 season, and he said, with all these guys currently on the roster, throughout the season, they've looked back at all those games. There were like 9 games back in 2013 that the Seahawks were within 1 score of losing or winning the game, and they came out on top. And what he said is that those close games are what helps the group learn from yourself. You don't learn from a 17-point victory or loss because you don't face those tests that you do in a close game. You don't have to question yourself, figure out what's going wrong, and correct it. Otherwise, it's going to cost you the ball game. The Seahawks, well, yes, it should have been prettier. There are a lot of games that should have been prettier this year. We got the dub. We're the number 2 seed in the conference, and we're leading the NFC West. I'll take it. That's all I ask.
Well put. How about you, Calvin, birthday boy? What'd you think of that game last night?
I mean, I want to say thank you to the Hawks, for winning Monday Night Football. It was a good birthday present. I was a little worried, but I think my biggest takeaway from the game was that I think the MVPs, Lamar kind of has it locked up. Russ, he didn't have a great game, but he had a solid game. But I think, for my takeaway, I think the fact that as a team, we're playing a lot better as a team overall. Like, it's not just Russ having to single-handedly will us to victory. Overall as a team, the unit's playing a lot better, especially our defense. I know that Dalvin Cook went out and Stephon Diggs, they both went down, and Minnesota was able to score a couple times in the fourth quarter. But I think overall, with us winning in the way that we did and Russ not having to put up crazy numbers, that's kind of like my biggest takeaway. Russ is starting to slowly fall off of the MVP race, and Lamar Jackson's not only gaining ground, but he's kind of leading the race right now. But I think it's a good thing for our team because overall the team's kind of stepping up, everyone's stepping up, and it's not Russ having to, like I said earlier, single-handedly have to lead us to victory all the time. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway.
Yeah. Well, so in regards to the MVP, before we go on, I want to make sure people know. So if you guys want to be part of this, I see people already in the chat blowing things up. A few birthday wishes for you, Calvin, going on in the chat. But if you go ahead and keep going, blowing up the chat. I see Jessica, Solstice Beat in there, Instinct Gaming, Cringe Lord, Kano Z, a lot of the regulars I always see. So keep it going. We'll try to hit some of those questions if you guys put some out there. But if you guys want to be part of the conversation out here in the phone call, you can dial in at 515-606-5121. Just punch in that code 696-153, and we'll try to get a few calls here in the next hour that we're doing this. So about the MVP. I agree with you. I was like, as I was watching this game, and especially on that play when Russ had the tip ball, and then he did that. I don't know what he was trying to do. Tap the ball. I think he was trying to knock it down, but instead he kind of typed it up in the air and got intercepted, pick six. I saw that. I was like, so much for the MVP boost this game. But I've kind of I think psychologically, I've just sort of put my mindset aside that who really cares about the MVP? Because what do we really ultimately want? And I think what Russell ultimately says he wants is he doesn't care about personal stats and all that. He just really wants to see this team win and ultimately get to the number one, the really most important prize, which is getting that Lombardi trophy. And we know that the key to that is winning the division and ideally snagging the number one seed. Number two would be okay too, but number one seed ideally. So I don't know. That's my thought on the MVP. I'm kind of starting to just sort of let go. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think he still has a chance of getting it somehow here in the last 4 games?
I've been a big advocate for Russell Wilson for MVP. But honestly, right now, Lamar is the front runner, and I do not see him losing out on this race. Here's the thing. Both guys are obviously transcendent, integral pieces of their offense. But Russell Wilson is only the focal point of Seattle's offense when other pieces aren't working. We don't want to use Russell. We want to run the football. We want to play tough defense, physical defense. We want to control the time of the clock, throw it with Russell, protect Russell so that he's there, he's ready to go when it's crunch time and in those tough battles. Lamar Jackson, they could be up 30 against the Bengals and have him go for a 40-yard touchdown run because he's the sole focus of their offense. They want to run the football, and they use their quarterback to do so. That's why they have RG3 over there. That's why when they were blowing out the Rams, RG3 went into the ball game because they have to have a running quarterback, and they took out Lamar early, wisely so, because of the fact that he's so important. If he gets injured, your offense just doesn't work anymore. That's the difference between Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson within their offenses. It's not because Lamar is a better player, which that's debatable. But it's because of the fact that John Harbaugh, his youth, the way that they're using him, they use him more often in their offense than we use Russell Wilson and his unique talents.
Good point.
Great points, Doug.
So let's look ahead now to the next step, which is, so right now we're temporarily first place in the NFC West, so we get to enjoy that for the next 5-6 days. But that could all change next week. So much, every game between all these teams is going to. Everything could change. You could drop from the 1 to the 5 in one game, and that could potentially happen here. So, a lot of people have been asking, who should I root for because we're going to see the Saints 49ers game is going to be played before our Sunday night game. So, what do you guys think? Should we be rooting for the Saints or the 49ers? Because there's kind of 2 reasons you could go both ways. Because you root for the Niners, well, that would knock the Saints down a notch from their lofty perch and open up the door for us to get that number 1. But that means if the 49ers win, more pressure on us to have to stay step for step with them, as opposed to the Saints win, the 49ers dropping in a notch, more insurance that we have a little more leeway in getting that NFC West. What do you guys think on this? It's not clear cut.
I think for me, I'd rather us win the division. And so I'm rooting for New Orleans. I can never root for San Fran, no matter what. So I do get that if San Fran were to win, there'd be a lot more pressure on us. And we do have a home meeting in Week 17 against them. But I don't know. I can't root for San Fran, so I'm gonna have to root for New Orleans. If New Orleans grabs the number 1 seed, then oh well. I'll be content with the 2nd seed as long as we clinch the NFC West. I feel like the 2nd seed. I mean, we'll get to host a minimum of a game at least because we're gonna have a first round bye, and then you host the divisional game. So even if we were to play maybe the New Orleans Saints potentially in the conference finals, or not conference finals, excuse me, the NFC Championship, and New Orleans were to be at home, that wouldn't be a bother to me whatsoever. So I'm rooting for New Orleans in this one.
You know, beggars can't be choosers. We're finally in a situation where we really have a stranglehold on our destiny right now. I'm with Calvin. I can't root for the 49ers. I honestly do believe the 49ers are going to win that ball game, though. That's one of those games where, as a Seahawks fan, we're going to be just content with whoever wins because one of them has to lose. You know me, Norb. I'm a bit. You're a glass half full kind of guy. I'm a glass half empty. I want to prevent that heartbreak for the Seahawks. I want to confirm that we are going to win the NFC West. I'm more concerned about not losing the NFC West than about trying to win the 1 seed right now. I want to see San Francisco lose. I want to see New Orleans win. I want to see us beat San Francisco again in Week 17 and clinch our division. I don't care for the 2 seed. I want to see us win the NFC West because that's our goal heading into the season. Always the division comes before seeding.
All right.
That's a good point. It's funny because it does kind of test your nature of if you were the gambling type. You know, do you bet on the long shot, or do you kind of go, well, I'll probably win this one. Let's just bet on the safe one. I'm not going to take my chance and go all in on this other riskier bet. But of course, we don't control it, so it doesn't all matter. But you know, it does test your emotions, because as we're watching that game, we have to kind of choose which of those teams we want to have go. And I know it's hard to root for the 49ers, believe me. And in between the 2 teams, I kind of like the Saints better in general than the Niners any day of the week. But you know, it's very possible that the Saints could end up taking the 1, and maybe we win the division and get the 2. And then, you know, at the end of the NFC Championship line, we have to go to the Saints to play them. It's going to be like, oh man, if only the Saints had lost, maybe we would have been hosting in the number 1 seed. But anyway, for now, we all know that we got 4 games left to go, and every game's a must win. So let's shift our focus to the next game coming up. We've got the Rams in the rematch. We won the first one by the hair of our nose, by the missed field goal at home. But now we're playing in Los Angeles, and the Rams, they were looking pretty bad for a while there. But then last week, or just this past weekend, they played albeit the Cardinals, but they blew them out pretty badly. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think this game's going to look like between the rematch of the Seahawks and the Rams? Noah, why don't you go first?
Honestly, the first game between the Seahawks and the Rams, I feel like that was when our season really began. And we had to get lucky to win the game. I'm not going to lie. I feel like Paul Allen blew on the ball from heaven and made it miss off of the upright because it was that close. We were that close to losing the game. They call Greg Zuerlein Greg the Leg for a reason because he doesn't miss kicks like that. He hit a kick to tie the game in the NFC Championship game. He hit the game winner in the NFC Championship game. Both just incredibly difficult kicks. And in this game in the regular season, he misses one in Seattle. It was a magical evening. I feel like that was the beginning of our season because that was one of those first games where we really had to get lucky. And I feel like that was one of the first games that the Seahawks learned about themselves, specifically defensively, because we saw down the stretch how that defense was bend, don't break, fight for every inch, and they were rewarded because of it with a Greg Zuerlein miss and a Seahawks win. Even though that defense was folding and they gave up the last drive to Jared Goff where he was just tearing us apart with our man-to-man coverage, finding his way down the field. Cooper Kupp had a crazy game against Seattle in that one. What we learned was that if we rally and we give it our all, we are good enough to beat a lot of very difficult teams. And then we kind of built upon that throughout the season, playing teams very close and going to overtime back-to-back weeks with Tampa Bay and San Francisco, playing tough tests tough battles throughout the year. We learned about ourselves in that ball game. I think this game we win by a slightly larger margin. I think we're going to control this as much as a Seahawks team is going to control the game. And what I mean by that is we're going to have the lead late in the game, and we're going to have to rely on our defense once again to get the stop. I think they make the stop. Jared Goff has not looked like he's worth the money that he just got paid this offseason. And so because of that, I think the Seahawks are able to win this game on the road. It's going to be close, but the Seahawks are going to pull away. I'm pretty sure you don't want the score yet, so I'm not going to give it to you.
Calvin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm with Noah here. I don't anticipate the game being anywhere near as close as it was last time around. We're a better football team. The Rams are slightly better with the addition of Jalen Ramsey. But, I mean, I get that they look good against the Cardinals, but everybody looks good against the Cardinals. And with the Rams, if you can get pressure on Jared Goff, then you pretty much win the game. So I feel like with our defense, it's a lot more improved. It's another primetime football game. You know what primetime means for Russell Wilson and the Hawks. You know, that's when we step up, and that's when we usually play our best football. And so I'm kind of with Noah here. It's not going to be as close. And it'll be tight earlier on, but I feel like as the game goes on, we're going to put a lot more pressure on Jared Goff. We're going to be able to get to the quarterback. Todd Gurley, obviously, he hasn't looked the same. So I'm not really too worried about Todd Gurley taking over. It is in LA, though, so expect them to kind of have like their fans, you know, have them behind their back, you know, rallying them on and all that. But I think at the end of the day, we win by more than a touchdown.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I always have to go back to my season prediction music video that I did way back in late August, and I'm happy to say that not only have I got a lot of my records guesses right so far, they've actually exceeded my expectations and have done better than I had anticipated at this point of the season, because I thought we were going to lose to the Eagles back then. Before I knew what this team was going to look like, obviously. I changed my pick before the Eagles game, right before it actually happened. But I had us winning this Vikings game by almost a score. I had 31-21, and we won by a little bit narrower than that. But you know, it shouldn't have been that close, really. We should have won by 17 points. But going to this game, I did have us losing in the rematch. But I'm going to once again flip that. I think we are going to win this game. I know the Rams looked good in this last game against the Cardinals, but you know, playing better teams. I mean, they got just mopped all over the floor against Baltimore. And granted, those guys are just one of the best teams in the NFL. But I think what we got going for us here is, and I think it was going to serve us well, is I mean we ran the ball really well last night, 200 plus yards against one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. And I think if you can run the ball, and now I think we have a better running game than we did last year, and it's better than it was in the beginning of the year. I mean, you got Rashad Penny and Chris Carson really now a two-headed monster, which I had always hoped this is what they would become, and it just never quite was that, because you know, one was injured and they never quite both got on the field. Now it's like you got the two-headed monster really with two equal heads now, and you could switch any of those two guys in, and I feel like now, you know, you've got a balanced running attack where each guy doesn't have to carry too much of the load, and they offer a good 1-2 punch. So that itself is the basis of why our team is going to be geared for success going into heading into the postseason. And even though it's the Rams, we did well. I thought even back in our early game against the Rams, we had a pretty good offensive game with them. So couple the running game with our, you know, Russell Wilson, as long as he doesn't do any more volleyball hits with batted balls, and if DK would just take the Butterfingers out of his pockets and switch to Twix or Snickers, then, you know, if he doesn't put the ball on the ground, we're going to be in good shape. And our defense is doing amazing. I think they're doing great, you know. And no, you got a point to make. I'm going to definitely get to I have one more point to make, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Oh, I was just going to say, going off of what you said, you raised a really good point talking about our backfield. To your point, after the game, they asked Chris Carson, somebody found out, I forgot who I heard it from, but Chris Carson subbed himself out of the game to let Rashad Penny go punch in that touchdown because he knew what a night the young fellow was having. The support and the fact that it's all love in that backfield is truly an integral part of our offense. I wanted to give credit to your point there, Norb.
Yeah, I heard about that too. I didn't hear the actual quote, but I heard what the gist of what he said, and that's pretty cool. That Rashad Penny not only feels like it's not a competition, but it's a partnership. It's like they're looking after each other. So that's really cool to see. So and I thought we're gonna really need it because when Carson went down early in the game, I was like, oh my God, we're in big trouble, but Penny stepped in for the time that Carson was out, and he did great. He did better than I kind of give him credit for, because I kind of been saying he's great, running around the outside, and he's great if he doesn't have to run through any tackles. I think I brought this up with you guys, that he goes down on first contact. But he actually fought through some tackles and ran between the tackles and, actually did a pretty good job of, fighting through and proving me a little bit wrong in terms of his strength. And I think it has to do with that no McDonald's diet that he's on. He's apparently it's really helped his game, So let this be a lesson to you kids out there. If you want to be a good running back, don't eat McDonald's. But I wanted to switch to another point, which was defense. I thought our team, you look at the takeaways they had. I mean, those takeaways were huge. Obviously, we both had takeaways on both sides, but the defense, the Trey Flowers interception, the two fumbles. I think there was 3 takeaways, or were there more than that? It was 3, right? 2 fumbles and an interception. The last one being on that kickoff to seal the game. But so the takeaways were huge. But the pass rush, if you look at the stats, we didn't get any sacks on Kirk Cousins, but I felt like there was a lot of pressure throughout the game. What do you guys think about that? Because obviously we've all talked about that pass rush has got to be there. If we want to win down the stretch, we got to have a consistent pass rush. And I'm just trying to get a sense as to how I feel about how our rush was last night, because no sacks, but I still felt like their presence was felt. What do you guys think? Do you think that we didn't lose any step on our pass rush, or how would you grade the pass rush last night?
Norb, you get to go to all the games, so it's awesome that you get to do that. I don't get to go to all the games. And actually, during the broadcast, the reason I bring that up is because during the broadcast, I think it was Booger McFarland brought up the fact that Kirk Cousins was getting rid of the ball so quickly in the first half, and just watching the game, the way he was getting rid of the football so quick, even on the 4th down conversion, that they failed that late in the ball game, 4th and 3 for the ball game, under 3 minutes. When Kirk Cousins got rid of it, he got rid of it pretty quick. Our pass rush, like you said, Norb, they were getting through. Ziggy Ansah had a couple of plays where his hands were all over Kirk Cousins. Jadeveon was felt not as much as we would want or expect, but there were a couple of plays where he had his presence felt, and Rasheem Green stepping up, having that forced fumble, as well as other guys around the defensive line. Jerron Reed played a very good game, pushing the quarterback back on multiple occasions. What I would say is that Kirk Cousins had a great game plan heading into the game, where he knew he was going to have to get rid of the ball very fast. He did a very good job at that. We came out with the win. It's complimentary football. We were able to get enough pressure to affect his throws and to help our coverage hold up on the back end. If it weren't for the miscommunication, Kirk Cousins would have just had 1 touchdown pass on the night. That one to Kyle Rudolph was a really good catch as well. So without that, potentially no touchdown passes for Kirk Cousins. I would say our pass rush did just enough, but Kirk Cousins, you got to give him credit. He was getting rid of the ball very quickly.
Precisely. I think for me, when it comes to generating pressure, it's not always about putting up the numbers. Like, yeah, we didn't put up any sacks, but as long as we were able to generate pressure, and we were kind of able to alter, well, to Noah's point, he was talking about how Kirk Cousins had to kind of come up with a game plan to counter our much improved pass rush. And so the fact that he even had to change up his game plan, or to play a little differently than he has been all season, that's kind of a win in and of itself in our pass rush. And like Noah said as well, we did enough to be able to win the football game, and guys were able to still get Kirk Cousins a little jiggly in the pocket. And so even if we didn't necessarily put up the actual sacks, the pressure and just being able to alter how we played the game, that I think is a win in and of itself.
Yeah, I think so too. The the defense, it just felt like their presence was felt. There was hard hits going on. Quandre Diggs again, he lit a couple of guys up. There's that one play, I think, to the tight end on the left sideline. He was kind of dancing around, and Diggs was like, "To heck with all this dancing!" Pow! And just knocked him on his back. And those are just very. Again, I see that, and it's just like, ooh, Cam Chancellor. Images of Cam Chancellor dancing in my head. And so it was. It's great to just see that physical presence. And man, how about the and special teams? We can't give enough credit to special teams, because whenever they mess up, we're all over them. But when they're good, you got to give them credit. Jason Myers, man, perfect last night. Every extra point, every field goal was money, and so we got to give them props, because I think a lot of times when they do their job, everyone's just like, well, he's supposed to do his job, but they mess up. It's like, man, we need to fire him and get somebody else in there. So so on special teams, I thought we did a pretty good job on special teams. And how about that fake punt, man? Did not see that coming a million miles away.
Hey, Norb, remember we talked about the kickers a couple of collaborations ago. We talked about how Myers, he has the waves, and what we were saying was that, the kickers are going to have those waves. Emotional highs and lows. Right now, Myers was on a high. You could tell every single time he stepped up for a kick, the confidence in his eyes, the look he had, he was going to knock him through, and he was kicking him right down the middle.
It wasn't even close. Yeah, it was just so, no doubt about it. Yeah.
Great to watch. Travis Homer, his impact on special teams, recovering the fumble as well. Was it forced by Malik Turner? I believe that's who forced the fumble on the final play on the special teams. But
yes, it was.
Whoever forced that fumble, if it was Malik Turner, just a great tackle. Oh my gosh, this head coaches are going to use that, showing film to their guys all across the country. The way that he was able to get his head out of the way of the tackle, but in the way of the football as much as possible, forcing the ball loose. It was a great hit. And then Travis Homer, Calvin's birthday gift, was right there in front of him, and he landed on it. Excellent job by special teams all night long. And then the conversion that you were talking about with the ball to Travis Homer, we have so many good running backs, and the coaches are finding more and more ways to utilize them. It's great to see. And, Seattle, there's three aspects to the ball. Seattle has always talked about we got to win at least two of them. Special teams playing a major factor in yesterday's win.
Yeah, it's great. It's great when the special teams are just not part of the conversation, because they're just doing what they got to do. Because there've been a lot of conversations about special teams. I mean, how many kickers other than Justin Tucker, right? Isn't he the Ravens kicker? That dude is so money. Yeah. But just everybody all around the league, though, we're seeing blocked field goals, blocked punts. I mean, on a level that I feel like I haven't seen before. Because usually, a block kick is a rare thing. It's like seeing a unicorn, man. It's like hey, I saw one, But in the last week, I feel like we've seen a whole bunch of these things, And then the onside kicks that we've actually seen, 3 in a row. And I think, did we have a conversation? I think I proposed we need to change the rules on the onside kicks and make it 5 yards instead of 10, because it's impossible to get an onside kick this time. And then they go and get 3 in a row, the Atlanta Falcons, and then of course they don't do anything with it, and they fail to beat the team we need to go down. But that's the Falcons for you. But that was cool though, to see a team get 3 onside kicks in a row. Is just, you don't see that in this day and age anymore. And then how about the Miami Dolphins breaking out that trick? What was it? There was the pass to the kicker with the one guy in the center. And it was beautiful. I wish I'd had play queued up so I could play it and so people could see what I'm talking about. But man, it was just one of those weird plays where it's like, what the heck are they doing? And then the punter throws it to the kicker it was a 2-point conversion, wasn't it? Isn't that what that was?
Right.
No, it was a touchdown.
Oh, it was a touchdown. It was a touchdown. Yeah, touchdown. It was awesome. I mean, you're the Dolphins. What do you got to lose, right? But it was
And to your point, between the kicker and punter, I believe that was the first time, at least in Super Bowl era, if not in NFL history, where a touchdown pass has been thrown and caught between a punter and kicker. The two least athletic guys on the football team. You may as well pass it between the water boys.
Well, it kind of reminded me a little bit. Do you guys remember that play? It was the Indianapolis Colts, and part of the formation looked like that. It was a fake punt or something, but it had the center and the punter, I think, and the Patriots were on the other side, and it's the same thing. Like, what the heck are they doing? And that thing just completely blew up. The two guys just completely creamed the punter, and it looked like it was going to be the same sort of deal, but they pulled off the touchdown. It was cool.
Well, you bring up the one with the Patriots and the Colts, and I don't know if you've listened to the Pat McAfee show, but in his show, he actually spoke about that play and what went wrong. The play was solely intended to draw the opponents off sides. It was a miscommunication because the week of practice, the guy that was running it all week in practice either got sick or injured before the game, and so they put someone in there that hadn't been practicing it before, and so he snaps the ball when he's not supposed to, and it led to the Patriots just making a tackle for a loss, and they looked like fools. But Brian Flores drew up an excellent play for the Dolphins against the Eagles on that one. Give him credit just because, just think about the idea of going to a football locker room full of very buff, just testosterone-ran locker room, all these guys very aggressive, and you're telling them, we're taking your two weakest guys and we're going to have them score a touchdown. How you're going to sell that to them, it's a sign of how bought in that locker room is. Give them credit because they're really fighting for a struggling roster.
Yeah.
Third win of the season. Whew.
Yeah, they're not the worst team in the league anymore. The Dolphins were kind of like the laughing stock, the punchline of all the jokes, but now they've passed that torch down to, well, I guess that's the Bengals, right? The Bengals, but they've won two now, right? Didn't they win two?
One.
No, they only won. They only won. Okay, all right. I've given them too much credit.
The Redskins won one.
The Redskins won one. Yeah, so there's no.
They won two.
Yeah.
They won 2 games.
There's no winless teams left in the NFL, so good for them.
Right.
So all right, so we got so Seahawks, Rams. We talked about the Saints and the Niners. Let's dare to dream a little bit forward here, since we're just we're fans. We can do it. The rest of the schedule, we've got Panthers, Cardinals, and the rematch with the 49ers. Right, we control our own destiny here, and if we do everything we're supposed to do, we could at least get the number 2 seed. And maybe they'll help get the number 1 seed. But minimally, if nobody helps us, we would get the number 2 seed if our calculations are correct. Isn't that right? We'd win the NFC West, and we would, if we win out, we'd win the NFC West, and we should get the number 2 seed minimal. Right?
And you're exactly right. And heading into the season, I was really concerned about this back-to-back at Los Angeles, at Carolina. But now Ron Rivera
got fired today. I know.
He's fired. I think that's a horrible decision. We can get into that if you want to, but I think that made that at Carolina game much easier for the Seahawks now on the road.
But I think, with them losing to Carolina, I mean, I'm not saying he should have been fired, but I think with them losing to Washington, it's just kind of like, this season's kind of just it's a wash. They've lost 3 in a row. I think it's a little debatable as to whether or not he should have been let go or not. But I think with the recent slide, I think whether or not he was going to be the head coach for that game, I think it was going to be a cakewalk. I mean, so.
Well, I mean, if they don't miss, 2 PATs and a field goal against the Saints, they beat New Orleans.
They win that game. I know.
2 weeks ago, we were watching that game together.
And before that game, they lost to the Packers. And if McCaffrey gets 2 inches further on the last play of the game, they win that game against the Packers in the snow in Green Bay. So I'm still concerned about that Panthers game. I'm not quite as high on the horse, Cal, as you are, that it's going to be a cakewalk. And I'm kind of concerned too that sometimes when you do a mid-season coaching change, sometimes that change up. While you think, okay, the coach is gone, the team's going to go down. Sometimes it's like, remember when the Rams got rid of Jeff Fisher? I was like, no! Yeah. Jeff Fisher's the best thing that could happen to the Rams because he's like Mr. Mediocre. He's like always 8-8, 7-9. He's always never great, always never terrible, but always just not that good. But then you get rid of him. It's like, oh no, that he was the thing that kept them down there. And my concern is that when I first saw the news, I was like, oh good, they got rid of the coach. And I was like, ooh. But could that be one of those things that just shakes things up to where they play inspired because now they feel like they got to do something more because their coach is gone. I'm probably worrying about too many intangible things here, and the reality is if Seattle just does what they do and run the ball and stick to their basics, they should win this game. But I guess I'm not seeing the Panthers as this. They're not the Redskins or the Dolphins or the Bengals. Like I said, those two previous games they could have won, and they just kind of some bad luck ended up losing those two and made it a 3-game losing streak. But still no Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton's not going to be coming back anytime soon, right?
Well, here's the thing with the whole Ron Rivera firing. It's like when you're on the elevator at work and there's a bunch of people in there and somebody farted, you don't know who did it. Well, as you go up the floors, people start to get off, and you start to, by process of elimination, you figure out, okay, who's really stinking it up in here. The further you go up, if the smell keeps getting stronger, it's somebody going to the top floor, right? I think this is one of those situations in Carolina. Now that Rivera is off the elevator, they're going to realize he's not the one that was stinking up the joint. That Carolina franchise, what Ron Rivera was doing with that offense, facilitating it, building it around Christian McCaffrey, dealing with backup quarterback problems, dealing with a Cam Newton not knowing what his scenario was going to be week in and week out, when he's going to be healthy, dealing with the media, dealing with the fans, dealing with all that stuff, and still creating a competitive roster. They were competitive all season long, even though they lost to Washington last week. That was definitely the low point of their season, between that and losing to Atlanta so poorly. But either way, they had a competitive season. I don't think jumping ship on Rivera was the way to go. I think offensively and defensively, he has a way about doing things where he can put his players in a situation to best suit the franchise, and he's great at developing players. I think it's one of those situations where you need to bring in a fresh-minded offensive coordinator to come in there and help him out, give him a new way of thinking about things, a new way of looking at things, perhaps off this McVay, Shanahan branch they're ending up everywhere else pretty much. So I'd say bring in a better offensive mind to help him out. I think Rivera, because of the fact that he is such an intelligent head coach and so well versed in the NFL, I think the fact that he lost, this was like losing a Sean Payton for the Saints. I feel like it has that level of impact. You don't realize how much he did for your crossing your T's and dotting your I's for your franchise until he's gone. This is going to hurt Carolina.
Calvin, you agree?
Oh yeah, most definitely. You guys are right. They did lose a few close games, but overall, he kind of did set the culture and the tone over there. And with Cam, I mean, I guess I don't know if it's safe to say that the Cam era is over, but with what he did all those years when Cam was, in his prime and really just doing his thing around the league, I remember, I think it was like 2 years in a row. Well, 1 year in a row. It was 1 year where they finished with a losing record. The next year was a winning record. The year after that was a losing record. The next year was a winning record. They kind of had a little string of all that, but through all the adversity, Ron Rivera was able to be able to right the ship and continue to lead his troops. And I know this season was kind of a lost season. I think if they were going to fire Rivera, they should have waited till after the season. Doing this now kind of doesn't make too much sense, but I totally agree with Noah though, for sure.
Maybe
he did a lot for that team, for that city, for that franchise, and he doesn't deserve this. But he's a good head coach, so I don't see him having a hard time, catching on with another team.
Maybe he'll end up with the Cleveland Browns after they fire what's his face, Kitchens. Because I agree, I think he's a good coach. I agree. I'm surprised. I was surprised at the release, and I can't see him not getting a job somewhere because he has been good, and he's other than what's happened as of late, that franchise has always been up there, always competing. So yeah, we'll see, but.
Definitely agree with you, Norb. I kind of disagree with Calvin though about one of the points that he made, and that's about the timing. I feel like, okay, Carolina, let's take the fact that I believe Ron Rivera is the guy out of the picture, and we just talk about the timing. Right at this point in the season, they're pretty much out of the playoffs, or they might actually be eliminated from the playoffs. But either way, they're not getting in the loaded NFC. They knew that, so they got rid of their guy because they want to see if their offensive coordinator alongside or their offense. I forgot who they put as the new interim head coach, but they want to give him a shot and see how the team fares with him to see if that's someone that they want to stick with moving forward, or if they still want to bring someone else in down the road. I agree with the timing in that sense, and it also gives Rivera a chance now to have a full off season with whatever team he decides to join.
And, well, we mentioned the Cleveland Browns. The Cowboys might be a team that will be looking for a new head coach after this season is over. We'll see.
That's
but
scary.
Somehow Dallas is staying in the top of the NFC East because that division is just so terrible, man. It's like nobody wants to win it. It's like, here, you have it, Dallas. No, we're good. You take the division. No, that's okay. Well, let's see if we can go 7-9 and win this thing like the Seahawks back in 2010. It could be one of those weird matchups. But we do finally have some callers on the line here. Let's see. Let's put one of them on right now. Let's get to Robert Smith from the 804. What's up, man?
What's good?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Okay. What's up? What's up, Robert? What's on your mind today?
Oh man, the game last night. I went to almost had a heart attack watching it. We almost blew a 17-point lead. We had a chance to destroy a good team, and as usual, it came to be a one-possession game, and I don't really like that because, you know, a lot of good teams they destroy teams they should, and sometimes they'll destroy a team that might be a good team. But everybody we play, no matter what, we always give them a chance to be in the game, and that kind of really like that feeling because if we in the playoffs playing against the best teams, what if we, you know what I'm saying, we're not going to have no room for error to make because one mistake we might make might cost us a playoff game, you feel me?
Yeah. Well, you know, you just better get used to it. I mean, every game we've had has been some degree of this type of thing. I mean, look at our point total over opponents. It's like only like 30 something, right? It's like super slim when you got like the Ravens winning by like 100 something, points over their opponents. So I mean, every game is always down to the wire. But hey, man, it's been that way since Pete Carroll's been here. You know, Super Bowl season in 2013 was like that. You know, it rarely blew teams out. It was always a fight to the end, except for Super Bowl 48, of course. But yeah, it's never a dull moment with this team, though.
Yeah,
you
man,
know, Norb, you raise a good point. I think the figures you were looking for, I think it was 144 for the Ravens and then 36 for the Seahawks in terms of point differential all season long. So over 100-point difference, but still the same record. And that is the point. It builds character down throughout the whole road, throughout the process. If you want to get buff, you got to lift weights every single day. If you want to be a Super Bowl champion, you have to learn how to win every single day in different ways. It's building character for this roster. It's building experience down the stretch. And in close ball games, it's going to pay off for the Seahawks. It might hurt our hearts, though, as fans.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be one game where, you know, last year in the playoffs when we played the Cowboys where we get behind because, you know, Pete and them, they'll wait till the absolute last second to try to change stuff up to do something that we should have been, like when we were still running halfback draws on 3rd and 14 last year in the playoffs. You know, like we might try to force the run game when it's not working or force a certain type of player to make plays to when it's not working, like how we used to do with Rashad Penny last year in the first couple of games. Because I really don't like how Pete, they're really stubborn on like their game plan and their play calling. They really want to run the ball even if it's not working, rather than letting Russell loose or seeing what he can do on his own. And one last thing is I don't like our pass. I don't think that our passing offense. I think it's crazy how we have the 5th rated offense, but our passing offense is really just our players making the most difference because they usually don't get schemed to get wide open like how you saw Julian Edelman getting wide open versus the Texans the other night. It's usually us just beating our wide receiver. He either beating his defender on a route or contested catches like 90% of the time, and I think that may hurt us too. Because, like, you see a lot of these other teams, like you saw Lamar Jackson against the Rams and 49ers, people are wide open. For us, it's never wide open. It's either somebody got beat on a route and they got a few yards of separation or just making a contested catch.
Well, one point, Robert, there is to take into consideration is, Tyler Lockett was the guy nobody could cover for a while there, and until he got hurt, he was the go-to guy that Russell always, knew he could find wide open. And that injury, I don't think he's healed from that. He's still and he was sick with the flu. I guess 8 guys were sick with the flu this past week, including Lockett. So he kind of had double whammy. So I still don't think we've seen his best return to his best form yet. Hopefully he does by the time we get to the playoffs and these, like the rematch with the 49ers. But I think that's a big difference, because he's like the Edelman, for the Seahawks, because he's the guy you can always usually count on to be open, but just not as of late. But I think he will down the stretch.
Yeah, they should have sat him because it wasn't even a game where you want to throw the ball, and they would have gave him an extra week to get healthy off of that bruise he had versus the 49ers. Give him an extra week so he could be more healthy. But hopefully he gets back into form, because if he does. It's gonna make a real big difference, and it's gonna really open up the running game, because people are gonna be like, hey, he might beat us deep, and then there you go, Carson going up for a 15-yard carry. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even if he's not at his best, the fact that he's on the field, they still got to account for him. So I think that still loosens up the secondary. They got to have 2 safeties back there, which opens up those lanes for the running game. So I think a lot of the fact that we do put him out there is a lot of the reason why we ran for 200 yards, even though he didn't have a single catch. He didn't have a catch yesterday, did he? He got targeted like 3 times, no catches, but he still had an impact indirectly.
He didn't have one?
I don't think he had one. I remember he got overthrown on the left sideline, going left to right. He missed one in the end zone, and
I got him in fantasy. He had none.
And in the middle, yeah, I would remember Lockett. Yeah, in the middle, down the middle of the field, it almost got picked off. But yeah, no connections. That's a rare deal to not have Lockett have no catches on even 3 feeble attempts. But that just shows how much he's not right now. But hopefully he does get back into it. But what's looking good, though, is the fact that, he looks sharp on the dance choreography. That part hasn't dropped at all. And it's nice to see that part in practice is staying sharp. So, he's got to be on the field for that, too. So, but, hey, Robert, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. Good points, though. Good points. We don't want any more heart attacks.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to have to get used to it. Just have the defibrillator on standby. All right, thanks, Robert. Appreciate the call, man. All right, Robert is gone. Let's go to another one here from the 602. What's up? You're on with NorbCam, Cal, and Noah. What's up? Who's this?
Sup?
What's up? Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Abraham. I'm calling from Arizona.
Oh, okay. Are you a Seahawks fan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Well, what's on your mind? What's on your mind, man?
So, I was just kind of thinking. So, Seattle, they played pretty good last night. They played pretty good, but I was just thinking about the future through the playoffs. I'm looking like a Seahawks-Ravens NFC Championship, but I just want to say something about like Lamar Jackson. I feel like soon teams are going to figure out what his game plan is. Because I think I would say he's like a one-trick pony, because if nobody's open, he'll run for it. So like, I feel like if that comes down to that, I think Seattle could beat them. So I just want to hear like your opinion on that.
Yeah. Well, first, slight correction there. If we face them, it's not going to be in the NFC Championship. It's going to be in the Super Bowl. So if we're facing Lamar Jackson, that's a good thing. That means we're in the Super Bowl. So, but I'll take your point anyway, despite that. So I would love to see the 2 MVP candidates going head-to-head. That'd be a pretty cool storyline.
Yeah.
One-trick pony, though. He's definitely got a really good trick, but I don't think it's his only trick, because he's been doing a pretty good job throwing the ball around the field. What do you guys think?
I think you're definitely right. He's a multiple trick pony at this point in his season. He's throwing the ball very well and very wisely with his decision making. But what I would say in terms of the Seahawks-specific matchup and what we have to look for if we can make it to the Super Bowl and play the Ravens, who we have to rely on to deal with Lamar Jackson, we got to put our best against their best. And I'm not talking about Bobby Wagner. I think defensively, the person that we have to have following him around, constantly keeping an eye on him, make sure if he drops, you drop with him. Somebody that's very good at lateral movement, very good at making open field tackles. He can run down some of the faster players for the other team. We saw him do it a couple of weeks ago. That's Jadeveon Clowney. I think Jadeveon Clowney, if we play him in the Super Bowl, has to win his matchup every single snap in order for us to be able to slow down Lamar Jackson, because he can outrun pretty much everybody. He can outrun Clowney, but I think Clowney has the lateral movement and ability to make a tackle the way that not many on our defense have the ability to. Bobby Wagner fits in that role as well. But I think Clowney's the one who would have to have the biggest impact in that Super Bowl matchup if Seattle wants to have a chance to slow down Lamar.
Cal?
I agree. I agree.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Calvin?
I mean, look, if Lamar was a one-trick pony, he definitely wouldn't be in the MVP race today. Maybe last season he was a one-trick pony when he got drafted, but this season he's kind of just the progression that he's made from year one into year two. He went from a rookie quarterback who barely made an impact. Well, I mean, he helped lead the Ravens to the playoffs at the end of the season, but he wasn't anywhere near the player that we're seeing today. And so all the improvements and everything he's done in the offseason is really paying off. And if he was a one-trick pony, then he's really good at it. But I think overall he's made a lot of progress, and he's not a one-trick pony anymore. So that's all I got to say on that one.
Well, two points I want to address on Lamar Jackson. I've been saying it all along is that, you know, the one thing that would stop him is himself, and that would be taking too many chances and getting injured, because, you know, he's running like the wind. Like there's no hesitation to what he's doing, and so far it's been great. And he's a strong guy. He's a smart runner. You know, he doesn't really seem to take too many hard hits, but it just takes that one time, you know, that one awkward landing, that one time when your knee gets caught up in a bad spot, and that could be the thing that not only could knock him down for a length of time, but it could end his career if he has a really bad, you know, hit like that. So, you know, that to me, that's the one risk of being a guy who runs so much like that, is that, you know, he's putting himself, you know, at that kind of risk. Unlike Russell, who could run more and used to run more, but he's being more smart about the long term. He's protecting himself so he can play to age 45 is what he wants to do, according to his press conferences. So, you know, between the two of them, if you had Russell and Lamar Jackson both like on side to side split screens in the same play running, you could bet that Russell would be sliding a lot earlier than Lamar would. Lamar would get that extra spin move and try to get that extra 5 yards, and Russell would just slide, and he'd be a little bit slower than Lamar. But the point is, Russell's going to live to see a lot more snaps, and at some point, you can only play with fire for so long before, you know, it might catch up to you. I'm not saying I want him to get hurt, because I love watching the guy. He's very entertaining. But that could be the one thing that does him in. But it will be interesting to see after this year. I don't think anyone's going to figure him out this year. But after, you know, they got an off season to kind of, you know, really soak in all the film that they got on him, they'll come up with something. People will come up with some kind of scheme with the way that they rush the passer or don't rush the passer, and, you know, and not give him those opportunities to you know, to do what he's doing right now. Because, you know, like I said, we've seen this before. We've seen this with the read option and the pistol formation with Russell and Kaepernick back in 2012, 2013, and it seemed like it couldn't be stopped. And eventually, it did get stopped, or at least slowed down. So, you know, but not this year. Not this year. It's gonna. I see them going to the Super Bowl in the AFC, but we'll see.
If anyone's going to come up with a solution, watch out for that AFC Championship game, the rematch with Belichick.
That's true.
I don't care where it's at. Belichick is not one that gets fooled twice.
That is true. If they get that rematch, and it might be in Baltimore, but yeah, if there's a genius out there who could figure out a scheme. Part 2 might be very interesting to keep an eye on. So it's very possible we will see those two teams in the AFC Championship, but still a lot of games to be played. But hey, thanks for the call, Abraham. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, dude.
All right, go Hawks. Let's keep it going. The lines are still continuing to go here. Let me get we got Rohan, our resident 49ers fan. I got to get him on the line here. Yo, Rohan, what's up, man?
Hello. How's it going?
How's it going for you, man? How does it feel to be in second place, brother?
Feels a slightly bit more normal.
You know what I like about Rohan, as opposed to other 49ers fans I talk to, he's not real, cocky and arrogant like some of the other guys I've talked to. You tend to be the opposite, actually. You're like the half glass full 49er fan out there. But tell me your take on where things stand right now. You've just, looking up at the Seahawks for the first time this season. How you feeling about the last quarter of the schedule and your matchup with the Saints?
Saints, I feel like they're actually beatable. I don't know if it's just the fact that they got blown out by the Falcons and then almost lost to the Panthers a couple weeks ago. But I feel a wee bit more optimistic about Saints game than I do with Ravens game. And we almost beat the Ravens. We literally had Baltimore on their deathbed. We were about to beat them, but then we went for it on fourth and off the ball. And that was that.
That's true. You guys played a hell of a game. Ravens 49ers game was awesome to watch. Slugfest in the mud and the rain. I mean, that's so fun to watch you guys beat the crap out of each other and then lose in heartbreaking fashion at the end. The 49ers, you guys have had a couple of them, one to us and then to lose to the Ravens at the end. Just haven't quite been able to finish it out, but you guys are definitely a different team with Kittle in there, and we were lucky not to have to deal with him in our game, so that concerns me moving forward. But I don't know, what do you guys think? 49ers against the Saints, do you think I know we talked about who we're rooting for, but I don't know, you feel like the money's on which team do you think is going to come out with the win?
I think the Niners are going to beat the Saints, partly because of what our resident Niners fan was talking about, and it's that those Niners played a very good game against Baltimore. They were impressive on the road, how they were able to contain Jackson as much as possible, forcing a fumble. The Niners have a defense that's just full of playmakers. They're able to make plays on the football. That's going to be a big deal against New Orleans because Drew Brees doesn't turn over the ball too much, but when he does, it can definitely affect them. We saw the playoff game a couple years ago. They almost lost to Philly simply because they fell behind two touchdowns early. The first play of the game was an interception. Drew Brees can be a bit streaky offensively, hot and cold, if you will. So this is one of those games, if the Niners are able to come out and go on the road and get a lead, able to stick to their power run offense the way that they want to, and Jimmy G doesn't have to go win them a football game, that's going to be the formula, controlling the clock and trusting. Because when the Niners want to jump ahead early in football games, that's why they went for it on fourth down at Baltimore, because their strengths are their secondary, their pass rush, and their run game. All three things that are more impactful when you're up because you're able to run the ball and the other team has to pass it. That's the situation that the Niners want to be in, especially on the road where the crowd is going to be an impact. In New Orleans, one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. I think the Niners on the road are going to be able to get the lead early, and I think they're going to win the game in a close one. They are a better team, but the urgency is more there. New Orleans has already clinched their division. The Niners haven't, and that's why I think the Niners are going to win.
Good point.
Yeah, you're playing Rams next week, so that would be a win-win scenario for the Niners regardless. But I think you're forgetting is that Richard Sherman has a sprained knee, so that might be problematic going up against Michael Thomas. Trying to cover him.
I was wondering about that. How serious is that? Is he going to be out for an extended period of time?
Sherman says he's fine. I mean, he did come back in the game and play it out after that. But then Shanahan's like, you never know. We might keep him out because that's what Shanahan always says, and it's cliche. But
so he's not out. He could play in this game on Sunday.
Yeah, the Niners also have two other defensive starters that are injured. Our starting nose tackle sprained his ankle, and our starting strong safety broke his ribs against Baltimore.
Oh.
Okay. Well, it's going to be a fun game to watch, that's for sure. It's going to be. It's going to be. I'm still trying to decide for myself who I'm rooting for. I think I'm rooting for. You know, actually, no. I know what I know what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for a tie. Can we just have a tie, please? That would solve all our problems, right?
You guys stand to win regardless, right?
Right.
You guys
That would be nice.
A tie would be the best of both worlds. How about a 6-6 tie? Like we had against the Cardinals like 3 years ago or something like
Yeah.
that.
Both teams just look awful, can't score, and the kickers miss like 3 field goals.
Yeah.
Your kicker
That'd
hasn't
be
missed
great.
since the Bucks game. Kicker hasn't missed since the Bucks game, right? For you guys?
What was that?
Oh, we haven't missed. Yeah, he's been money since since he had that bad game against the Bucks. He's been lights out.
We missed a kick against San Francisco, didn't we? Early? I believe we did.
Did we? I don't remember now. I've forgotten. I put that out of my memory.
Oh.
All I know is
Yeah, I'm
that
only thinking about the-
all I know is I know Gould came back and he missed the kick against the Ravens, right? That would have
He did. Well,
been a
that
tie.
was more on the Niners' offense not being able to move the ball any closer. Like, when you're trying to kick a 50-plus yard field goal in the rain, there's not much of a chance of going in.
Yeah, but it's
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Robbie Gould, though, man. He's got, like, the gold-plated leg. And he was supposed to be,
not
you know...
this year. Not this year. He's missed 8 kicks this year.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. It's just been a tough year for
He's
kickers
been
in
injured a
general.
lot of the year, too.
What was that, Cal?
Yeah.
Oh, he's been injured at various points in the year, so I think with those lower leg injuries, it's kind of affecting him as a kicker because he's usually one of the best kickers in football. So we're not really seeing the best version of him.
Yeah.
That is true. This was his first game back, though.
Yeah. Well, it might come down to it. I can see this being a close game with a field goal deciding the game. Too many of these going like that, especially with two good teams like this.
Yeah,
All right.
At least on the injury front, the Niners do have Matt Breida and D Ford coming back this week, most likely.
Well, that's
So that
pretty
was
big.
positive.
Yep.
Like, we kind of missed Steve Ford last week. We only sacked Lamar Jackson one time, which is, like, by far our lowest output this season.
Well, he's hard to sack, period. So
Yeah,
I don't know how much difference that would have made, but yeah, that could make a big difference on Sunday against the Saints. Drew Brees is a lot more sackable for sure. But
Yeah, he is.
well, hey Ron,
That's why Niners fans are more confident about facing the Saints, because mobile quarterbacks versus Niners do better than someone who doesn't, like, run around every few plays.
yeah. Well, you guys put up a good fight. I mean, as good of a fight you could put up against the Ravens as of late. So, you know, I was worried. I was watching that game going, oh man, they might win this thing. So glad you guys did.
Right.
That was a huge relief. So I appreciate it, man.
You can
Thank
blame
you.
Shanahan. You can thank Shanahan throwing the ball on 4th and 1 for that.
Oh, well, thank you, Shanahan. Appreciate it, man. give him our regards. But all right, man. Well, try not to be too. If you do lose on Sunday, try not to get too bummed out, because I know sometimes you were 8-0 and you were still bummed out. So I don't want you to be bummed out if you lose 2 games in a row.
Although that time was more because we had lost our middle linebacker for the season. Right after the game.
But look at you guys are doing just fine still, in second place and everything. But it's still doing just fine. You're in there.
I'm not so worried about the middle linebacker loss, since after that happened, Fred Warner has basically turned into Bobby Wagner 2.0.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but
Whoa.
Well, not that bad, but that's only the last 4 games. Last 4 games, not like the whole season.
Fred Warner?
Yeah.
That sounds like a movie character.
I know.
That sounds like a superhero or something. Fred Warner.
I know. Maybe too much of a stretch to say Wagner 2.0, but he's been really good last 4 games.
Hey man, he's in second place. You got to give him something to hope and be celebrating about, since they're in unfamiliar territory here. Just kidding.
This is more familiar territory.
This season is unfamiliar because you guys have been in first place the whole run. So
I can still count the number of winning seasons the Niners have had since I was born on one hand. Actually, wait, now 2 hands, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, you missed the '80s, so back when you had 5 rings.
No. '80s is a foreign concept to me.
Yeah, I know.
2000s and 2010s.
Yeah, I know. You're a young buck. Actually, what am I talking about? All you guys are young bucks. I'm the old fart in this room. Anyway, well, we won't talk about that. But hey, Rohan, keep your head up, man, and enjoy second place. And there's always next weekend.
All right. If
All right, man.
Francisco wins and Seattle loses, I'll be saying the same thing back next week.
I know you will. All right, I got to enjoy it while we got it. We got a week to enjoy this, this view from up here. All right, take it easy, man. Okay. All right, got a couple more calls we'll try to get into here. Let's go to the 214. Yo, what's up? You're on with NorbCam, Cal, and Noah. What's up?
What's going on?
What's going on? Who's this? Hello?
Hello?
Call?
Yeah. What's your name?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your name?
Oh, hey. My name's Andrew.
Say that one more time. I didn't quite catch it.
My name's Andrew.
Oh, Andrew. Okay, Andrew. And where are you calling from?
I'm from Dallas, actually.
Are you a Cowboy fan or are you a Seahawks fan?
I'm a Seahawks fan, but it's kind of funny because they're all trash-talking me. Hey.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you hear it all the time.
We're first in our division.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about like our percentage of winning the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, our percentage, the likelihood of Seattle winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah. Like, who do you think will play in the playoffs, and what do you think the easiest road to the playoffs would be?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
We're pretty much clinched the playoffs by now, unless the Rams have some miracle run.
Right.
But, we're at least going to be a wild card.
Yeah, we win. If we win or tie this weekend, we clinch a spot. So I mean, we're in a pretty good position to get a spot. But of course, we want the ideal spot, right? So, well, I guess let's say we have the magic wand and we can create any scenario we want. Obviously, we win out, get the number 1 seed. That gives us a bye. So, what teams would we want to face? What teams would we want to face to make the road as easy as possible to face either the Patriots or the Ravens? What would be the teams we want to face? Obviously, anyone from the NFC East would be the first one.
Yeah.
Take one of those guys.
Yeah, I agree.
But we know that that's going to get eliminated. So eventually it's going to come down to the 49ers, the Saints, or the Packers, right? I mean, that if we're talking about the best teams in the NFC, I'm not forgetting anybody.
Or the Vikings. Or the Vikings.
We just beat those guys. They're nothing. Okay. But no, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. What would be the easiest road, Cal?
Are we waving the full magic wand, or is it like most realistic, or like?
I think he's asking which would be the easiest route. Okay, probably not necessarily realistic. Which would be the easiest route? Like I said, dare to dream right here. Who would you want to face to maximize your chances of getting to the Super Bowl?
Okay, so let's say we get a first round bye. I mean, for sure, I'd want to play the Packers. I think we have their number, and we're Aaron Rodgers' kryptonite. So I'd want to see him in the playoffs. And I'd be a little worried. I mean, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, he's still a great player. He hasn't been always the great player that he has been in seasons past this year, but he's getting older, and it was also his birthday yesterday, so he's another year older. I think he's 36, 37 now, so he's kind of on the decline, and so I think the fact that we always seem to have the Packers number and Rodgers on the decline, and most likely this game will be in Seattle with the way the Packers have been playing. I mean, they're not any likely to clinch the top 2 seeds, so they'd have to travel to Seattle. But I'd like to play Green Bay. If it obviously I'd want to play one of the NFC least. I want to play the winner of that division first, but I don't see any of those teams making it to the second round, so I'd say the Packers.
All right, check it out. Waving the magic wand, we're getting the best scenario for the Seahawks. This is what it would be. We get the 1 seed. We win out. The Saints lose this week to the Niners, and then we beat the Niners later on in the year. So we're the 1 seed. The Saints have a 2 seed. I'm going to go Packers at 3. I'm going to go Cowboys at 4. I'm going to go at 5 Niners, and then 6 I'm going to go Vikings. So I would say in the first week, the wild card week, the Packers would beat the Vikings. So now we play Minnesota in the divisional round, and then the Cowboys beat the Niners. This is just what's best for us. The Cowboys beat the Niners. Now the Cowboys travel up to play New Orleans. So our playoff matchups would be at home versus Minnesota, and then if the Cowboys were to beat New Orleans, now we're playing at home versus Dallas. So we would get Minnesota, Dallas, Super Bowl.
That ain't gonna happen.
Well, I asked you about the realistic.
Yeah, that's true. I did give you that opportunity to wave the magic wand, but I didn't think you'd go all the way off the deep end. But that would be a nice scenario. I guess. Which team's the scariest? Really? If it came down to one game, which is the team you'd go like, oh man, I hate to play these guys? Niners?
Because if we lose, they win.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'd probably go Niners, Saints, Packers. Niners, Saints, Packers in that order.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we can go all the way this year. It's like better than any of the years since 2015, really. Because last time we were at the Super Bowl, we played the Patriots. We all know what happened there, and then since then we've sort of been on a slow decline. I think this year we really improved, and we got new defense weapons. Jadeveon Clowney, and then on offense we got DK Metcalf, and we got Josh Gordon. We got a lot of new players coming in, and we're 10-2 now, and I think we can go all the way. I really do.
I think everyone's feeling that right now, and I think it's the like I said before, the running game. That's such a big part of it, and I think our running game is better than last year at this point of the year. Even though last year we had one of the best running games in the NFL, I think it's even better. I can't back that up with statistics. I just go by the fact that we've got both those guys running. It was kind of the Chris Carson show last year, and now it's the Carson Penny show, which I love this combination. So you can travel with that. You can take that anywhere, any weather, any place if you got the running game, and that's the big thing that we got going for us. So yeah, I agree. It's a good time to be. This is a good time to be able to dream, because we do have control over our own destiny for most of what's in front of us, which is pretty unbelievable when you think about expectations going into this season. So yeah.
Do you know if CJ Prosise is injured?
I think. Well, I know
he's injured.
He's been on the inactive list. I thought he was on the injury report, but I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I haven't seen him at all. But Homer made an appearance yesterday.
CJ Prosise, I believe. I believe he's. Yeah, I don't know if he's actually got an injury or he's. I felt like I saw his name on the injury report, but you just kind of assume that he is injured.
I think that's a healthy scratch.
I think it might be a healthy scratch. It would allow John Ursua, So yeah, it might just be a healthy scratch.
I think Travis.
Yeah, Travis Homer.
Travis Homer.
Yeah.
He did a fake punt yesterday, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he had a couple big plays yesterday.
Yeah.
It was
and he recovered the fumble at the end of the game.
Yep. Yeah, you hadn't said his name much, but yesterday you said it a couple big time plays. So that was fantastic to see him.
He's a rookie though this year, so.
Yep.
Yeah, I really wish I could go to a game, but I live all the way down here in Dallas. So,
well,
yeah, that'd be.
I don't see us having to go to Dallas for anything anytime soon. Although,
yeah, we don't have to go to Dallas
theoretically, actually, that's not true. Theoretically,
we did last year.
Dallas could host us if we don't achieve our goals. We could end up. There's a scenario we could end up being in Dallas for the wild card, like last year.
Well, I mean,
I love that rematch though. I love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of ironic how the team that went 7-9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because didn't we go 7-9 one year and make the playoffs and beat the Saints? Remember that?
Yep. Pete Carroll's first year, we went 7-9, hosted the wild card, and that's the Beastquake game, and beat the Saints, who were NFC world champs, coming off the world championship year. So we'll see.
The Cowboys are looking to be not a winning team this year either, so they could be another team that could go with a losing record.
They're trying real hard to get that 7-9 division crown. They're doing a good job of it. All right, Andrew. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. Go Hawks.
Yeah.
Take it easy, Andrew.
All right, so we got a couple more here, and we're almost to the end of our time. We got to wrap this up in about the next 5-10 minutes. So before we finish up these calls, I want to make sure people know where to find you. So, of course, Noah Boelter at DJ Squabo and Calvin Domingo at Steezy Way, and you guys have your podcast also, right? Squabo 66, Squabo 66. I got that right? Okay. It's been on the screen, so you guys see it there, but just so you know what that is. Real quick, tell us, what is Squabo 66? What would they find listening to your podcast?
You know, I make you guys money. I pick 6 games every single week of the NFL season, for and against the spread. It's NFL Vegas betting odds. I make you guys money every single week.
Ooh. Nice.
So you can find that anchor.fm/DJ Squabo. It's right there. I'm not sure where if it's above or below right now, but, DJ Squabo.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, it's on the screen right below your chin there. So
perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's get a couple more calls in here, and then we'll wrap this show up. So from the 270, who's this and where you calling from?
Yes, sir, Mr. Norb. This is Sam Brown out of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
From Kentucky. All right. Are you a fan of the Seahawks?
Oh, man. I started watching football back in 2015, sadly after our loss. But my dad grew up in Oregon, and he would watch Seahawks games as a kid, so I'm just kind of carrying on the torch.
Okay, nice. So you're Kentucky raised, but your dad was a Seahawks fan.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. So
you have a great family.
Yeah, raised you well. Props to your dad. So what's on your mind today, man?
Well, New York Times pretty much gave us a 99% chance of making the playoffs, and I think we clinch it with a win next week. But things get really dicey toward the end. Basically, if we lose one game through the rest of the season, as long as it's not the Niners, we pretty much clinch the division. But if we lose to the Niners, say we win every game, we lose to the Niners, I think the chances drop to like 60%. So do you think we can win this division?
Well, definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cal. You can elaborate on that, expound on that.
Most definitely. The toughest game on our schedule will be that 49ers game, Week 17 at home. But if it's for the division, well, we're going to win it. Because we have games against the Rams. We have a home game against the Cardinals, so that should almost be a gimme. I know Arizona always plays us tough towards the end of the season, but that should be a gimme. If we're as good as I think we are, then we should win that game. And then obviously Carolina's kind of imploding right now. They're not the same. They just fired their head coach. But who knows? They could be a rejuvenated football team. Maybe they start playing for their new head coach. We'll see. And that is an away game, a 10 o'clock game. We're traveling all the way from Seattle over to Carolina, so that could be a trap game. But I don't really envision us losing any of these games from here on out. But yeah, I could see us winning now, clinching the division, clinching the number 1 seed. I'm very optimistic.
I am terrified about the remainder of this NFL season. It is such a Seahawks season coming down to Week 17, and Seahawks regular fashion. Every single game takes overtime practically to win the ball game, and the season is coming down to the wire as well. I feel like the big thing with got the connection back there. I feel like the big thing with this game versus the Niners at the end of the year that's so scary is that just the loser of this game is going to have to play the following week extremely beat up on the road at either Dallas or Philadelphia. And so they're only going to have a week. That could be a Saturday game, so it could be a short week coming off of a violent 4-quarter divisional rivalry game. Probably going to get flexed to Sunday Night Football. Whoever loses that game has a very tough turnaround the next week. The winner will get a bye, potentially the 1 seed, probably the 2 seed. But either way, it's a must-win game, and nothing until then even matters. I am terrified. I'm nervous, but I'm excited for the Seahawks. It's how I felt all season, and it's worked so far.
That's my feelings.
I think if we win out, if we beat those Niners at the end of the season, I think we're going to go all the way. I think we're going to win another Lombardi.
I like it. That is a lot of pressure on that final game, man. That final game is going to be just insane, man. There's a good chance they might flex that game. Do you think they might flex that to prime time on Sunday? That final game against 49ers? Yeah. If it comes down to that, they should.
They've been talking about that since the Monday night game.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right, Sam. I hope you're right, Sam, and I agree with you. If we can pull all that off, because this is a gauntlet right here. If we can get through all that and survive it and do everything we want to do, there's no reason we can't do
one of our tackles
the rest
actually
of it.
From here in Kentucky where I live, so we always pull for him in the game, and me and my dad will joke like if we win the Super Bowl with a touchdown throw to George Fant, I mean, it would be amazing. We would have like our own little Super Bowl parade here in Bowling Green because he really is kind of the hometown hero here.
Nice. Well, I hope it comes true and you can call back in and say, "See, I told you it was going to happen," and do that in February. So, all right, man. Well, we'll see what happens. One game at a time, though, and all that good stuff. All right, man. Go Hawks. Thanks for the call. All right. Let's get one more in here, and then we'll wrap the show up. Final call right here from the 415. What's up? Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Man, it's Triple G. What's up? It's Team Triple G calling out of Turlock.
Oh, it's Team Triple G, the infamous Team Triple G, who's always in the chat in person. What's up, man? I feel honored. I'm actually hearing your voice. Even though you're a rival fan and everything, it's like I see your name in the chat all the time. But thank you for calling in, man.
Ain't no one afraid. But I hope you enjoy that fluke win on that Monday night. I'm telling you that right now. I hope you enjoy that. Because week 17, we're going to whoop that ass. I'm just letting you know. Enjoy that fluke.
See, now this is what I expect from a 49er fan.
Let me tell you what happened. On that game. Joe Staley and McGlinchey, our right tackle and left tackle, were injured. They forced them in that game to play rusty as shit. And that's all that happened. The only reason that Clowney and them were getting all those good plays is because they rushed our left tackle and right tackle in there, and they were rusty. That's all that happened. They should have kept our second stringers in there that were playing good all those 4 games with them out. And us. When we had Sanders, field goal, touchdown. He goes out, nothing. No George Kittle, come on, nothing. George Kittle is a big success in this offense. You have George Kittle, it's a wrap. With him back, it's a wrap. I don't fear the Rat Wilson at all. I don't fear them. We could contain them. If we could contain Lamar Jackson to almost beat him, we could beat you easily with Kittle in the game and a healthy Niner team. So I hope it goes to week 17, but I'm not scared. Like I said, I don't care. Even we're going to be in the playoffs regardless. I don't care. I don't care. We're going to be in the playoffs. So wherever we see you, if we see you in the playoffs again, you're going to get it, and that's it.
We're going to get it. All right, man.
There's a lot of reasons that we could, as Seahawks fans, point to why we almost lost that game, but we don't need to because we won that game, and just because of that reason, we're just going to sit pretty. Like, there's a lot of stuff that went against you guys. We didn't get a single call in the first half, It was a good game.
Okay, so you're talking about those drop picks of those linebackers. What about if Kendrick Bourne catches that ball? Diggs never intercepts that ball, and that's what happens. We have these receivers that can't catch balls. That's the only reason. If we would have had Kittle and Sanders, it would have been a wrap. That's the only difference.
What DK Metcalf was like 1 foot away from scoring a touchdown, and when you guys got that, I'm going to call that a lucky strip because that was a flukish thing that you guys stripped that ball. Great play, but that's not the kind of thing that's going to happen every day. It's a totally different game. He gets in the end zone. He should have been in the end zone.
He takes a knee.
He should have been in the end zone. We should have scored a touchdown.
Got shut down for the most part. He couldn't do nothing. And then you say, oh, we didn't have Lockett. The dude played till the fourth quarter? What did he do? He didn't do nothing. Like, come on, man. Like, look, let's talk facts.
What if Ifedi takes a knee?
Come on.
What if Ifedi takes a knee? Ifedi, our lineman.
Oh, instead of the sack fumble. Yeah, if he doesn't try to do the Heisman imitation.
He got the business. That's all. He got script. He couldn't do nothing about it, and that's it. He's some grown man. You know what I mean? He got script. That's what's gonna happen.
The thing is here, man, is we could go back and forth and say, whoa, if this had happened, that's what would happen. If DK Metcalf didn't fumble the ball, we would have been in the end zone. If Russell Wilson didn't sack, and then if Fady didn't get the ball and then fumble it, that's 14 points right there, and that game's not even close. But
Russell Wilson would have been the reason you lost that game, because our linebacker picked them off, and Jimmy G set us up to win that game. So if that rookie kicker makes that like he had us, Russell Wilson, supposedly the MVP, would have been the reason he cost you that game, and Jimmy G would have beat him because he set us up, you know. But I mean, that Rams game when he didn't make, that was a fucking fluke win, and then this one was a fluke win. That's 2 L's right there. You wouldn't even, come on, man, like, and then you didn't get no feeling, and then Cooks goes out, like, come on. Like last night with feeling in, it would have been a huge difference, but it's all good, you know. You get all the breaks, but it's all good. All that luck is going to come down to week 17, and you will get it, and that's it.
Okay, all right. Well, we will face each other in week 17. That's one thing we know for sure. If ands and buts aside, week 17 is going to definitely happen. But hey, man, I'm sorry. This is actually a lot of fun, but I got to wrap up. I got to wrap up the show. But what was that?
Oh, good. Hey, nice talking. But hey, we'll see you week 17. Have a good day.
All right, you too, man. Oh man, we could have gone all day with Triple G, but hey, man, that was fun. I love that. I love the competitive fire. Delusional as it may be sometimes, I do love the competitive fire. No, I mean, he makes good points, but for every point he can make, we can make a counterpoint to the same thing. But
right.
You know,
there's
still,
no point going back and forth.
Yeah.
He needs to come to the watch party.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a lot of fun. Well, anyway, on that spirited note, that's a good way to end the show. So, anyway, so we're gonna wrap this up. I want to say thank you to you guys for everybody who watched today, for all of you guys who were in the chat, for everybody who called in, but especially to my special guests here, Noah Boelter and Calvin Domingo. Thank you guys for taking part of your day to be part of this chat. I hope you guys enjoyed talking a little Seahawks football, a little Niners, a little Saints, and a little bit of everything. But make sure you guys check out these guys on social media. You can see it on the screen right there. And, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to me. Hit that notification bell so you can always catch one of our videos when they come out. And bottom line is, Seahawks, flukish or not, we got the win, and we are in first place in the NFC West with everything within our control moving forward, which is everything you could ask for. So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out, and we will talk to all you guys later. Go Hawks, baby.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Take care, gents. And goodbye, everybody. Have a great week. Go Hawks.